right, what's going on, y'all? We're 6 weeks out from the 100 mile this morning. It's long run this morning. So I've got 20 miles I'm getting ready to step out for. It's going to be the longest long run yet of the training block. And I'm still dropping so much weight on these long runs. Last week's 18-mile long run, I woke up that morning at 225.4 pounds, and I got back from the long run a few hours later at just under 213. So I'm dropping way too much weight and feeling completely slaughtered by the end of the long run. So if we're going to get this 100 miler done in 6 weeks, I got to figure this out. So this morning, I'm going to be trying out a completely different nutritional strategy. We're ramping everything up. I'm going to be using the truck as an aid station, and I'll tell y'all in a little bit throughout this video what the strategy is today, but we're trying something completely different. We're boosting everything up, but I'll be seeing y'all along throughout the 20 miler today as I use this as an aid station. But we're gonna go ahead, get this rolling, get this started. All right, y'all, just wrapped up 5 miles, so we're 4 through it. So today what I'm trying out today is some beef and cheese like roll-ups. I got corn tortillas, a little bit of refried beans, and some cheese in here. And I'm gonna be throwing 2 of these down every 5 miles today. So I'll have 2 more rounds after this. It's humid. I'm dropping so much water already, but we're pounding the water, so hopefully I can keep up somewhat. Let me go ahead and get these down, get back out there. See y'all in a bit. All right, y'all, and just back from that run. So today I actually didn't get 20 miles in. Today's the first day that I've actually not gotten in all the miles I had planned out on the training plan. I only got 17.1 done today. So to say I'm disappointed is a bit of an understatement. So what today confirmed for me more than anything, this is absolutely not a food issue. This is not a fueling issue. This is 100% a hydration issue. I've talked to you about it in pretty much every video of this series on my insane sweat loss rate right now, but it's just absolutely uncontrolled. So, you know, back in the day when I was a 157 pound ultra runner and I was, you know, doing 50 milers and all that, my sweat loss was, you know, moderate to moderately heavy, but it was a normal sweat loss, something that I could easily, you know, train for, plan for, and all that. What's going on right now is absolutely I can't take water in fast enough. I'm literally chugging water and refilling water as fast as I can take it, to the point that I'm almost puking up water the whole time. Just now, before getting in the truck, my pee was almost brown. So I'm clearly not getting in enough. Literally by mile 4, I can see the tracks from my shoes from sweat sloshing out of them. And then, you know, what caused today is that by mile 9 or 10 or so, I had hit a complete wall. So, you know, back in the day, back when I was, you know, full on running before the bodybuilding days, you know, on a typical long run, you know, 18, 20 miles, that's typically when you hit that kind of wall, but that's more of a wall on nutrition, maybe electrolytes, not typically hydration. Now I'm hitting even harder wall at like mile 9 or 10. That's causing my pace to dramatically slow on the back half, to the point that if I was to expand it out over the course of a 100 miler, now I'm at the point that I'm getting worried I'd even be able to meet the time hacks or the time cutoffs for the 100 miler. So, you know, one thing I got to keep in mind is that this is, you know, hot Texas weather right now, but, you know, I did give myself a really hard challenge of going from literally 0 running for 4 years. You know, my whole focus was doing everything I had to be, you know, professional bodybuilder. So obviously getting the body weight up, putting on as much muscle mass as possible, and then not running, to then 3 months ago, I've only been running 3 months now. 3 months ago, I'm jumping back into it. So, you know, it is what it is. But the sweat loss right now is absolutely insane, and it's frankly debilitating on these runs. To the point that, you know, I've never had trouble under like marathon distance finishing. You know, if it was a long run under, you know, 25 miles or so, it was just, you know, go out and do it. It was smooth. And these are now, you know, I'm hitting 10, 12 miles and just being brutalized and it being a complete slugfest. So I'll talk to y'all about how the last couple weeks of training have gone. The last couple weeks have been hard. You know, it's been a little bit of a wake-up call, so I'll tell y'all kind of my thoughts for what's coming.
when I get back to the house. But today's fueling strategy, I'll tell y'all what I did last week and then what I did this week. So last week's 18 miler was pretty simple. Essentially, I was taking in about 24 to 30 ounces of water an hour with an electrolyte packet that had 500 milligrams of sodium an hour, and then every 30 minutes I was doing a gel. Today I upped it. So today I did 30 ounces of water minimum an hour with an electrolyte packet an hour that had 1,000 milligrams of salt. So double strength electrolyte packet. And then every 30 minutes have goos. And then along with that, every 5 miles have those 2 tortilla cheese bean roll-ups that I was doing. So like I said, today was a wake-up call to me that this is definitely not a food issue. I could 100% tell, like, I had the caloric need out there. It was definitely the hydration. Just the amount of water I'm dropping is just too much, and it's insane. And frankly, it's pretty disappointing. It's disappointing that, you know, mentally I'm there, physically I'm there, nutritionally I'm there, and it's my sweat loss that's causing these issues right now. So that's where I'm at, but you know, I'm disappointed, but overall mentally still okay. You know, I mean, I know the challenge that I put forth for myself was extremely challenging. So I knew that, you know, issues like this would arise, but I didn't think it would hit in this way. So, you know, that's where I'm at. But I'm going to go ahead and get back to the house here, get cleaned up a little bit, get some food in me, and then I'll talk to y'all, I'll give y'all an update on how the last few weeks of training have gone, the couple things I've added in, and then the challenges that have come a long way and what I'm thinking. But I'll get back to the house and catch y'all in a bit. All right, y'all, so it's actually nighttime now. I've been pretty much heads down all day. This is the first minute I've got kind of a second to breathe. So I got back from the run earlier this morning and then was immediately heads down with client work. Fridays are my client check-in days, so Fridays, Saturdays, and Sundays I'm very packed with client work. So I had that all day, and then this evening, my church here in Austin, City Reach Church, had their men's conference. All hail King Jesus. All hail the Savior of the world. And Steve Weatherford, I'm sure several of y'all know who Steve is. Steve's a pretty big, he's got a pretty big following on social media. He's a Super Bowl champ, and then he himself, you know, while being pretty jacked himself, he does 100-mile ultramarathons pretty regularly. And so we connected about a month ago on social media. And we've been chatting a little bit, and then he actually spoke tonight at the men's conference. So I got to go a little bit early and talk with him for a bit, and then he absolutely crushed it.
And I know there's so many men in here that have made mistakes, that have been incomplete, and you think, man, God could never use me. God could never love me. Well, I want to remind you of one of God's favorites, King David. And it's because he loved God, and he always came back with a repentant heart.
The reason I bring all this up to you is it plays into what I'm going to talk to you about, how training's been going and what the plans are moving forward. So I know I talked about a little bit after the run, but today was a pretty rough day for me mentally, which I don't have these very often. This is me kind of just being somewhat vulnerable with y'all. I don't have rough or down mental days very often at all, and today was one of them after, you know, I didn't get the 20 miles done. So one thing about me, you know, ever since I was in the fire department, the military, even me, you know, doing everything I had to do to get my pro card in bodybuilding, you know, if there's training on the schedule that's planned, it gets done. I go robot mode and I get it done. It doesn't matter if I'm sick. It doesn't matter, you know, if I've got some pains going on or if I'm insanely busy. If there's training on the schedule, I get it done. So for me not to get the mileage done today, it messed with me. And this is not, you know, a huge surprise. You know, I'm going to talk to y'all about how the training's been going over the last several weeks. You know, this has been kind of something coming. Me dealing with the hydration issue and all that. But, you know, to still deal with it and miss the mileage today, it hit me pretty rough to where I was dealing with it all day. and frankly questioning on whether I could actually pull off the 100 miles in 6 weeks. So all that being said, today was a really rough day. I go to the men's conference and I meet with Steve. And Steve's actually got some plans in place that I think I'm going to go ahead and play into. So before I get into that, let me go ahead and talk about the training for the last couple weeks. First, we'll go ahead and talk about the good before I get into the bad and how the plans are changing. So the good, I know I've been keeping you all posted on me now starting to add in some more circuit training, some like HIIT style sessions, like CrossFit style stuff, especially with the rower, and then the ski erg. I added those in several weeks ago, and probably about 2 weeks ago is when I really started noticing massive improvements from it. So one, improving on the rower itself, getting faster and more efficient on that, but it also played into the runs. So y'all know I do all my runs in heart rate. I do pretty much every run in MAF, and I log all of it. And pretty much as soon as I started really adding in the HIIT sessions, especially with the rower, and doing intervals with the rower, I saw huge changes with my pace within the same heart rate on the runs. So the good news is within the last several weeks, I've been improving pace-wise, and I attribute a lot of that to me including some more interval or HIIT style training from the rower, and it's played right along into the running. And I had that theory, and that's why I actually added in the HIIT sessions, especially with the rower, the skier. I had a theory that, right now, me coming from no lifting at all or no running at all for 4 years while I just focused on bodybuilding to then lacing up the shoes for the first time 3.5-4 months ago, I had a theory that even though I needed to put as much time as possible to aerobic runs and building up my aerobic base as big and powerful as possible, I knew that if I could add in some anaerobic work on, separate from the running and not, still be pounding the joints and the shins and all of that, it'd pay off, and it did, and it already is. So that's been going fantastically well. Now, I've been asked several times already on Instagram, so I know several of y'all are going to have the question, is this playing into high rocks? I'm not going to say I'm never going to do high rocks, but it's going to take a lot for me to go that direction. I just frankly have no desire to do a high rocks race. The event just doesn't inspire me that much. I think it's awesome for the guys that do it, but it doesn't really excite me. I just love doing everything I'm doing with the rower and the ski erg and all that. And I might even do some ultra endurance stuff utilizing the rower in the future. But for right now, that's where we're going. So right now we've got 2 to 3 full body hypertrophy focus sessions per week, 2 to 3 HIIT sessions per week, and both of those types are evening sessions, and then 5 to 6 runs per week. Those are in the morning. So that's the current kind of layout of the week's worth of training. So on the negative side of the training for the last several weeks. So not this week, but the week before and the week prior to that were somewhat of deload weeks. So I expected to roll into this week feeling a lot more fresh and everything because y'all know that, me coming from not running at all for years to then a few months ago, I've ramped up mileage insanely aggressively. The general rule out there is to ramp up mileage, about 10% each week, add 10%. I've gone from no running at all to over 50 miles a week for several weeks now, really rapidly. Because of that, I feel like it's all come to fruition, and that aggressiveness, even though I've been feeling great up until then, about 2 or so weeks ago, the body started really feeling beat up. Wasn't recovering well, wasn't sleeping well, shins have been hurting, and that I've been kind of keeping the shin splints at bay. I've got a little bit of shin splints right now. I'm not too worried about that. I know how to run through them and work through them. But the big thing along with that is what I talked to y'all about this morning is the hydration issue. This morning I lost 12 pounds from the time I woke up till I got back from the run this morning. Last week I had lost 13 pounds. Even on short, 10-mile runs, I'm losing 10-ish pounds. So I'm just losing way too much on these runs. to the point that it's caused me to really evaluate, in 6 weeks from now, can I actually go out there and finish 100 miles? And not just finish it, physically finish 100 miles. I can slog out 100 miles, even if that's just walking by the end, but finish it within the time hacks, because, there's cutoffs, and I don't want to have to worry about running 100 mile and at the same time worrying if I can even, hit the time cutoffs. I've never run a race in my life, even going back to all my ultramarathon days, where I even knew the time cutoffs, because I just didn't, frankly, even need to know it. And I'm at the stage right now with this race in 6 weeks that I'm pretty worried I wouldn't be able to hit it. So where we're at right now, like I said, today was a pretty rough day for me mentally. I went back to the drawing board and really, really kind of analyzed on, how doable is this in 6 weeks, and should the plan, change a bit. The plan never, even with how rough today was, never once did I question, should I run 100 miles? The 100 miles is getting done. It more became a question of when, and if I should extend some training time. So what I did is I went up, looked up some races today, and on December 7th is actually the first ultramarathon I ever ran, which is the Brazos Bend 100. I did the 50K years ago, and it's a great course. So look that up. That would give me about an extra 3.5 months or so of training time. So that gave me a little bit of extra excitement's not the right word, but it gave me a little bit of extra ease of, if this seems like the right decision, maybe instead of in 6 weeks from now, go ahead and add an extra few months of training time. It's not as badass, to go from, no running at all to then, as a bodybuilder, to then doing 100 miles in 3 months. It's not as badass saying, well, I went and did it in 6 months, but my whole point here is I'm doing this for me, and I want to finish this strong. So right now, that's where I'm kind of at. I'm kind of 50-50 on whether I'm going to still pursue the race in 6 weeks or whether I'm going to lock into adding an extra 3 months or so of training time. Now, this is where Steve Weatherford comes in. So tonight, got taken up before the men's conference, had a little private conversation with Steve, and we were talking, and on that same exact day that I had earlier today found that Brazos Bend is on December 7th, Steve right now is planning on putting on his own ultra event. I'm not going to, talk about it until he wants to announce it or whatever, and I don't even know how public it's going to be, but it seems like me and a group of several other people potentially could be doing a 1 mile loop, 100 mile ultra. So right now, those are the two kind of things at play. Either, I do Brazos Bend on December 7th, a 100 miler. I do Steve Weatherford's event, which would be a 100 miler with, just it being a 1 mile loop, or the plan stays the same and I do the Cowboy 100 in 6 weeks. I can tell you with where I'm sitting, I'm at much more peace of doing the race, one of the races in December. And if Steve's putting on, that race, I'm going to do his over Brazos Bend. So that's where we're looking right now. Training is still staying exactly the same. I'm still keeping the 5 to 6 runs in per week. Still, really, really boosting up the hit sessions, and then of course keeping the bodybuilding in. But now I'll know within the next probably several days of which direction I'm going to take. If I do decide to extend out to December, then now it just gives me a lot extra time to really, really ramp mileage up to where I can get really comfortably in the 60s, 70s, 80s miles per week range. That way I go into the 100 and it's not just about finishing, but also putting up a pretty strong effort. So that's where I'm sitting right now. Today was, somewhat rough not hitting the mileage, but, these days come. These days come when, not everything goes to plan. And you gotta really do some self-evaluation of yourself, and sometimes you need those gut checks and you need those ego checks to kind of put you in your place a little bit. I welcome these times. So I'll keep you guys posted on what the next direction is, but today was a long, very busy, but great day. So the plans are now, I've got another run tomorrow morning, and then we've got a full body hypertrophy session tomorrow evening, and then Sunday's a rest, and then Monday we'll be hitting the heart again. And so depending on which direction I take will probably depend on the mileage for next week, but even if I extend out to December, we're still going to be, really, really ramping mileage up. So it's not really going to change much on that end. But that's where we're sitting right now. Hope you all enjoyed this video. I know this is a lot of talking. There's a lot of explanation, but I hope you guys enjoyed this. If you did, please go ahead and smash that like button. Hit subscribe if you haven't already. Be happy, be positive, be powerful, and have a great rest of your day.